Yeah. Next one's called A Scary Vacation Story 3, uploaded by our good friend Llama Arts. How you doing, Llama? Now this was sent to us by Dario 24000. So the rest of the samurai, just for the next 10 seconds, move, get out of the way. Ludacris said it best. Me and Dario right now. How you doing, my friend? My samurai brother from another mother. You sent in a story and I appreciate you for it. Llama Arts. It's been a minute since we Llama, we got that.
During my holiday, I spent about 3 weeks in Japan. I arrived pretty late, so I couldn't check into the hotel that I initially booked. So I booked the cheapest hotel that I could find nearby.
Okay.
Aesthetically, it was quite nice, but it did have easy access to the building, meaning anyone could come in and go to any room as they please. Plus, there was no security in sight. After arriving in my room, I ordered some food and watched some TV.
That's what you watched?
I was still pretty jet-lagged from the flight, so I started to get ready for bed. As I was falling asleep, I felt the urge to double-check the door just to see if it was locked. I didn't think anything was going to happen, but I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Thank you!
About 5 minutes after I checked the door, I heard footsteps outside. Initially, I thought it was someone leaving their room, but the footsteps started to pick up speed. The sound started getting louder and louder, and I started to freak out a little.
Maybe they ain't footsteps.
All of a sudden, the sound stopped. I looked at the light shining through the bottom of my door, and there was a shadow of a person. At first, I thought it was room service, but it was too late for that. Or maybe it was some drunk idiot who was at the wrong room.
Bruh.
As soon as I switched my light on, the shadow disappeared. I was confused, but I reluctantly went back to bed. That's when I suddenly heard scratching coming from my door.
What?
So I immediately turned my light on and shouted,
"Who's there?"
After a moment of silence, I heard the footsteps slowly fade away. At this point, I was thinking it could...
He in Japan, too. Probably don't know a lick of Japanese. I'm like, "Dare desu ka? Dare? Jisu wa kirei na hotel da yo."
I was thinking it could be some kids messing around, so I got up, opened the door, and peeked my head outside. I glanced in both directions down the dark and slim hallways. That's when my heart stopped.
Bro.
A man emerged from the darkness and ran erratically towards me. His face was contorted as he screamed, and I could see he was holding a knife in his right hand.
Close the door!
As he got closer, I could see him more clearly. He had disgusting long, dirty hair. His clothes were ripped, and he had cuts and bruises all over. I quickly slammed my door and pressed against it, praying that the man would just go away. After what felt like hours, I finally gathered my courage and looked through the people. He was gone.
Oh my God.
I let out a sigh of relief and checked the people again. My heart started pumping faster than ever before. He was right in front of the door. He was wearing a maniacal smile on his face, and all of a sudden he raised his knife and yelled, "I'm gonna kill you!"
What?
I jumped back and kept my
He's
eyes
a regular
locked
white
on the bottom of
dude?
the door as I backed up to my bed. I grabbed my phone and started dialing the police. As I raised the phone to my ear, I saw that the shadow was gone. When the police arrived, I tried to explain what happened, and they checked the security cameras. They almost immediately recognized the man. He had been doing this to people for a while now, and the police had been trying to track him down for months. After a long night of no sleep, I finally arrived at the right hotel that I had booked initially in Tokyo.
Thank you.
That creepy guy was still on my mind, but I thought the chances of him being here were pretty slim, so I didn't bother locking my door that night.
What is wrong with
At
you?
12:05 a.m., I woke up to a big bang next to me. I turned around to see the same guy passed out on the floor, with a knife in hand. I was in shock.
Are you?
How did he find me? I quickly ran out of the room and locked him inside.
How you lock him inside the room?
He was finally arrested. Let's just say I'm always going to be locking my doors from now on.
Bro, we thought you was smart in the beginning. We were like, There's no way he could know where I am. I'ma just leave the door unlocked, even though it's literally zero work. This next one's called a creepy deep. Freaking stuttering. I'm sorry. This next one's called a creepy deep web story 2, and this was uploaded by Llama Arts. Hey Llama, how's it been? We missed you. This was sent to us by Brandon FRFX. So Brandon, I appreciate you. I hope you're having a fantastic day. And be smooth. Yeah.
What?
I was 26 years old, and I was unemployed. Feeling unfulfilled by the monotony of a job life, I decided I would try my hand at working from home. So my days and nights comprised me of surfing the internet for any jobs I could get. I was a big procrastinator, so more often than not I'd stray away and waste time doing other things.
Y'all remember when PewDiePie reacted to my video? Yeah! Yay!
One day, I came across talk about the deep web while on Reddit. I felt amused by the people talking about it as if it was something so scary, and decided I'd look into it. It was stupid of me to go on it in the first place, but I made it even sillier by deciding to check it out late at night.
Idiot.
It was about 2 a.m. and I came across a website where you could chat with someone anonymously. The person I got was a woman. She was in her early 20s and very pretty.
What?
She sat with her head in her hands, looking playful into the webcam while batting her eyes. I had no desire to turn my camera on and started our chat, thinking that while I didn't come across anything scary, I could befriend this pretty girl. It sounded like a better deal anyway.
Bro, how are you typing?
She told me to turn the camera on, but I ignored that request and tried to get her to talk. She finally did after some prodding, but I noticed how guarded she was. I also noticed how after every message I sent, her eyes would look off camera, either to her side or somewhere behind her computer.
She's being directed.
After a while, it started getting annoying, so I asked her if someone else was there with her.
I want to see you first.
She said. Up until now, I'd been chatting while she'd answered my questions verbally. I'm not that curious.
Don't be scared.
She said, laughing. This time looking behind the laptop again and making a face that seemed to indicate she was laughing at my expense with someone else.
Yeah.
This is getting boring. It feels like I'm not just talking to you.
That's because you're not. You're talking to all of us.
Who else is there?
Turn your camera on.
Dude,
Is this a joke?
don't do it.
Turn it on.
No.
Okay. I'll be leaving now.
Yeah.
Turn on the camera.
Or
Her
what?
laughter was almost piercing by now. There was nothing humorous about the situation, yet she threw her head back with
Ah!
I'd had enough and moved the cursor over to turn the chat box off when I saw the cursor had jammed.
Oh,
The only thing that was working was the chat box. I still
Unplug.
had access to the keyboard.
Unplug.
Turn the camera on, sweetie.
No,
Her
baby.
gumdrop-filled voice was louder than before.
Oh, baby.
I moved my gaze up to see her smiling toothfully at the camera.
Bro,
Her face still beautiful. but the smile
unplug your
completely
computer.
Fake. My computer's crashed. I can't see the screen. Sorry. I lied. I didn't want her to know I had no option but to chat. Her screen flashed before going blank. There was nothing there but a black screen. I felt relieved, thinking that at least I didn't need to talk to her while I tried to figure out what happened to the screen. Just then, a chat message popped up.
Open the damn camera, you...
Oh my
The
god.
aggressiveness in the message frightened me. Now, the fact that I couldn't see her face while she typed this made me feel nervous.
Dude.
I didn't dare reply back, but then the cursor moved.
Oh! Oh no!
Shell-shocked as the cursor twirled around
Bro,
the
put
screen.
your camera down!
Open the camera now.
I still didn't make a move. There was no way anything good would be waiting
Just
for
take
me
the
if I did what
webcam!
she asked. The screen began flickering, as if a virus was causing the computer
Oh
to
my.
writhe in agony.
Do you want me to find you?
My heart raced. Could it be possible she knew where I was? I started typing. Please stop bothering me.
Then turn on the fucking camera.
At this point,
Dang!
I thought she was some kind of sadist, and got her kicks by scaring unassuming people in chat rooms. so I obliged and turned the webcam on. I saw my frightened face staring into the screen. Judging by my face, my attempts at looking tough were painfully unsuccessful.
You look
I asked
constipated.
around for the girl looking straight into the camera, telling her I did what she wanted and to stop hacking into my computer. There were several seconds of silence. I kept my stare directed to the little box that showed her camera feed, but it was pitch black. I motioned into the camera in confusion, feeling as if she was messing with me now.
He dead.
Then I saw another message.
Look here.
After a few seconds of staring at those words, I looked back at her camera, but my computer instantly malfunctioned, and I received another message.
Look here. Don't look up.
The chat was filled with nonsensical gibberish.
Oh, you're dead,
She
dude.
typed with such ferocious speed, my screen whirled away with her constant messages. I couldn't understand what was going on, but I didn't look up. My patience ran thin, and I wrote back, "What is this supposed to mean?" Her response came. I read only the letters in bold and shuddered. I looked back into her webcam and I fell back into my chair, my eyes widening. She was back there, only her face looked completely demented. She had a savage expression, devoid of emotion, but her eyes were almost popping out of their sockets, and she was huffing as if she had extreme amounts of pent-up rage. The way she looked directly into the camera made me feel she despised me with all of her being.
Look at her.
There was no amusement there anymore. Her camera went blank again. Then the chat popped up.
Dude,
My heart stopped again.
don't do it.
For a split second, there had been the same blackness, only for the lights to come back on.
Who the?
She wasn't alone anymore. There was a man next to her with a black mask on. He made no movements other than look into the camera like the girl. The girl's neck creaked to her side. It looked like it was causing her pain, and then the lights went out again.
What's she causing
The
it?
chat resumed. This time, I screamed in fright and fell off my chair. There was another man with them now. He was standing next to the girl with the original one on the other side. This man had the same mask on, but his hands were grasping the girl's shoulders. Even with the subpar quality of the webcam, I could see the force with which the man dug his hands into the girl. It looked like he could rip her in two. The girl, however, had a huge grin on her face. Her eyes were mad with glee, or so it looked. Her teeth were perfectly lined up as her mouth spread into that toothy grin, but I could see she was in pain. Even with the smallest sign of her smile fading, the man clenched his hands even tighter than before, which made her smile even wider. All three of them were shaking, as if it was extremely cold where they were. After a couple seconds, I realized they were shuddering, like trying to hold back laughter.
What are you laughing at?
I yelled into the screen. They didn't answer, and continued to tremor with concealed hilarity.
What is so damn funny?
I bellowed.
Bro, don't get
They
tough
stopped
now.
shaking. Within a couple seconds, the screen went black again. When it turned back on, the man no longer grasped the girl's shoulder. Neither was she smiling. All three pointed into the camera. Upon a closer look, I understood that they weren't pointing at me. They were pointing behind me. I didn't need to look back. I could see myself in the webcam. There was someone peeking from behind me. It was another man in a mask. And according to what I saw in my webcam, he was with me in my room, right behind me. I turned around quickly, but saw nothing where I had seen.
Guys, that literally gave me chills, guys. Look at my eyes. Oh my gosh, the way that they did that. Llama! I haven't been genuinely creeped out like this in a while. That's the thumbnail of the video. The way that they did that is... Oh,
Him in the webcam. I turned back towards the screen and, to my bewilderment, saw a third man in the girl's chat box.
What?
It was the same man I had just seen standing in my room. Now,
She's dead.
all three had their hands on the girl and were gripping tight. The girl wasn't laughing anymore. She had a look of utter devastation. A tear was dropping from her eye, but it wasn't just a tear. It was blood trickling down her eye socket.
What?
She then mouthed the words, "Help me," and the next second she screamed as if her lungs were being ripped off as the screen went black. I immediately got up and pulled the plug out of my computer and backed out of the room.
You're too late!
For a couple seconds, I swear I
You're
heard her
next.
screams even though the computer was unplugged. The room went quiet, but I was too devastated to stay there and ran out of my house despite it being 3 a.m. I caught a cab and went over to my friends, who had to talk me down for an hour before I could be calmed. I returned back to my house with my friend a day later. Everything was the same, and after thoroughly checking around the house, we concluded that there was no one there.
Dude, you're dead.
Nor was there a sign of anyone ever having broken in. I've never gone back to the deep web. My friend suggested it might have been some prank by computer hackers, but the way that girl shrieked, the terror she had on her face, it convinced me she had been a victim herself. I had wondered if I had stayed on for longer, if I would have become a victim too. Could those men have found me? Was there really someone in the room with me? There was nothing I could do, because there was nothing concrete to report to the police. What I did do was throw the computer out and buy a new one. There was no way I could even open it back up after what happened.
Bro, they got your IP address. Bro, don't even. That was insane. The next one is called The Roommate, and it was uploaded by our good friend Llama Arts. How you doing, Llama? It's been a while. Now, this was sent to us by Hiad, or Hiadsor, or Hiod, however you say your name. I want to give you a big arigatou gozaimashita. The Roommate.
Looking for a new roommate is always a daunting task. Even though you interview and take the time to get to know that person, you don't truly find out who they are until you start living with them.
Facts.
I had begun searching for...
Let me press pause. Let me turn this up. You get it nice and loud in the headphones, so it's
that you
for a roommate after I decided to leave my
More
current
like it.
residency. I was contacted a couple of hours after placing an ad on the Facebook Marketplace. The message read,
Hey Chris, I'll be moving out of my current apartment this August and I'm looking to room with someone new, as my roommates are moving to California this year. I'm 27 and I'm currently going to school. When I'm not at school, I enjoy hiking and watching movies. I also apprentice at a taxidermy shop on the days I don't have class. Hope that's not weird. It's always been a fun hobby of mine. Anyway, I'm looking forward to hearing back from you. Have a great day, Lunaire.
My first and most obvious reaction after reading the message was to check her profile. She was a medium height, had long, messy blonde hair and green eyes. In her profile picture, I saw her standing with a man and a woman shoulder to shoulder. They each adorned goofy grins and held up peace signs. Under the photo, the caption read, "Love my roommates."
okay.
I smiled to myself and decided to send her a message back. The
Hey,
sun beat down on us.
Who was
as we
that over
hoisted
there?
various objects to the second floor of our new apartment. It took us a couple days to get everything out of the moving trucks and into our new place, but as soon as we did, a wave of relief washed over our sweat-drenched and sore bodies. After a couple more hours of rearranging, we each grabbed a beer
Look at
from the
Llama.
fridge and sat on the porch. We reminisced about old 90s cartoons and what video games we obsessed over as kids, and as the sun started to set, I truly felt relaxed and confident that things were going to work out.
but they didn't. Nah, quick question. How many of y'all would put out an ad for a roommate and accept a response from the opposite gender? Because I'm thinking, I put out an ad for a roommate. If you even a little cute. Guys, I'm joking.
A week later, I started a new job for a construction company that was owned by a good friend of mine. As I was getting ready, I heard the front door swing open. I walked into the living room to see Lunaire and her friend David sliding in a large box.
Hey, hold up!
What you got there?
Who is
I
you?
asked. Through a strained grunt, she replied,
I bought a freezer to store some of the animals I'm planning on using in my taxidermy work. I hope that's alright.
Nah, Sagi, you should have cleared that
I was
before.
obviously hesitant
It's
at
already
first,
here.
as there was no mention of this happening in the first place, but I eventually accepted and returned to my room to continue getting
She
ready for
already on
work.
that weird stuff.
I came home at around 9 p.m. after having a couple of beers with friends and noticed that the freezer was nestled snugly in the lower part of the pantry. A low hum could be heard reverberating off of the inner walls. I was curious to see what was inside, but didn't want to intrude on Lunaire's business, so I went into my room and changed into more comfortable clothing.
I'm taking a peek.
After changing, I came back out into the kitchen and started making a sandwich. I opened the fridge and grabbed what I needed. As I turned around, I stubbed my toe on the edge of the island countertop and let out a long, exasperated grunt.
Ouch.
Through my frustration, I slammed the fridge door shut and checked my toe to see if there was any bleeding. As I raised my head back up, I was greeted by a shadowy figure. Lunaire was standing in the doorway leading to her room. The darkness behind her almost seemed to envelop her.
Is everything okay?
She said in a deadpan tone. Shit, yeah, I'm sorry. I just slammed my toe into the corner of the countertop as I was making a sandwich. I hope I didn't wake you.
It's fine.
She said, in the same deflated tone as before. She then turned around and walked back into the darkness of her room. I could tell that she was pissed, so I quietly made my sandwich and retreated back to my room as well.
Hey, Lunaire, you want a PB&J? I mean, I could make you one real quick. Maybe we can watch some TikToks after?
Only hearing the low hum from the freezer as I closed my door. I had the next day off, so I was able to sleep in a little longer than usual. When I finally emerged from my room, I walked into the kitchen to make breakfast. As I opened the refrigerator, I noticed that the light wasn't turning on and there was a lack of cold air escaping from inside.
What? She
I
unplugged
turned
it?
around and flipped the light switch to confirm my suspicion. Sure enough, the power was out. Damn it, I muttered under my breath. I walked over to Lunaire's room and knocked on her door to tell her about the power outage if she didn't already know, but there was no answer. I then remembered that she had classes that day and probably wasn't home. I walked back to the kitchen and past the pantry.
Why is it a
As I
padlock?
did, I slipped on the floor but was able to catch myself on the countertop. What the? I angrily exclaimed as I looked down at the floor trying to figure out what I had slipped on. It was blood. It had started to leak from the corner of the freezer and pool onto the floor. I quickly tried to open the freezer to find out the cause of the viscous liquid, but then I noticed that it had a padlock attached to it.
Heck no.
I don't remember seeing that before.
Lunaire gotta get
I
up
ran
out
out
of
to
there.
my car and grabbed my toolbox from the back seat. I approached the freezer and set my tools down on the nearby countertop. I then pulled out a small pair of bolt cutters and snapped through the metal of the padlock. It fell to the ground with a large thud. I creaked open the top of the freezer and was greeted with a putrid stench that permeated my nostrils. I quickly pinched my nose and walked away gagging in response. I guess I should have realized that was gonna happen, I muttered to myself in between gags.
Man
After
up!
gaining my
Look in there!
composure, I grabbed some gloves from under the sink and started taking inventory. I could see a couple of dead birds and plastic bags wedged into the corners of the freezer. I took each bag out and set them in the trash can nearby. That's when I noticed that the blood was coming from the corner of the larger black bag. I don't know why, but I decided to open the top of the bag and peer inside. I was greeted by large, milky white eyes, a swollen black tongue surrounded by cracked and bloated lips, and the matted hair of a human head. I swiftly dropped the bag and fell backwards on the floor. My breathing had ceased to exist, and I grabbed the trash can next to me and expelled my disgust into it.
Call the
I then
police!
ran out the door, got into my car, and called the police.
Good job.
As I sat in the interrogation room with a blanket over my shoulders, I couldn't help but think about the face I'd seen.
Cold?
It looked so familiar. That's when it finally hit me. I pulled out my phone and looked at Lunaire's profile picture. It was her old roommate. I couldn't help but think about the face I'd seen. That's when it finally hit me. I pulled out my phone and looked at Lunaire's profile picture. It was her old roommate. I couldn't help but think about the face I'd seen. That's when it finally hit me. I pulled out my phone and looked at Lunaire's profile picture. It was her old roommate. The one she said was moving to California. When the detective entered the room, she started the questioning process, asking me if I started noticing any weird behavioral occurrences around the apartment. Yeah, I stubbed my toe the other day and she creepily stood in the doorway. It seemed like she was pissed, but for some reason I had a strange feeling like she was concerned about something. That's when I connected the dots. She didn't come out into the kitchen because she heard me stub my toe. She came out into the kitchen because she thought I slammed the freezer instead of the fridge. A cold sweat started to form on my forehead as my surroundings became blurred. I could hear a low whine slowly starting to cover up the words of concern from the detective. As my vision started to clear, I could see another officer enter the room and whisper something into her ear as he handed her a piece of paper.
Oh my gosh.
"Do you have somewhere you could stay at?" she asked. I mean, I was planning on staying with my parents. They live about 30 minutes outside of town. Okay.
Can I stay
she
with
paused.
you?
Listen, I don't want to worry you, but we found this picture inside of your apartment.
Oh no. Oh no, no.
She slid the piece of paper across the table, and I immediately felt like someone kicked me in the chest.
She's standing over him.
The head of Lunaire's other roommate sat on the chair. In the background, scrawled on the wall in blood, read, "Love my roommates. All of them."
What did this next one is called A College Horror Story, and it's another one by Llama Arts. I see you've been putting in work. This was sent to us by Kyrie Supreme, and he said, "Welcome back, my man. This is for you." Kyrie, I appreciate you for the welcome back, my guy. And I would also appreciate if you slice that like button. Kyrie. Do it. It's good to be back.
It was an early morning. My campus didn't offer housing and I lived about a half a mile from school, so I started my journey as usual while playing on my phone. I glanced up to see an old man heading towards me on a bicycle. Normally, I'd
Excuse me? You're not about to be riding a bike with a suit? Where do I even start? Where do I even start? You might as well cut them 3 strands of hair off, big fella. Why are you riding a bike at 99 years old? They got you got a suit on, riding your freaking mongoose bike. The bow tie is purple.
step aside to let bikers and skaters pass, but he braked instead. I stopped too, wondering if there was something wrong. He walked up to me and said, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna hurt you."
Get back!
I felt chills instantly. I didn't know what to think. I just looked up at him with a fearful and confused expression.
Why are you standing there?
I was gathering up the courage to tell him that I was late for class and I should go, but before I could say anything, he said,
Get off the grass!
Looking down, I noticed I had stepped over towards the road and onto the grass. I stepped off slowly and he said,
You wouldn't want to step on any bugs or get your shoes dirty now, would you?
He raised his finger and asked me what my name was. I told him, and he replied,
Don't worry, I'm not gonna hurt you.
The same chills ran through my body again, but before I could say anything, the man said,
Get off the grass! You wouldn't want to step on any bugs or get your shoes dirty now, would you?
I looked down to see that I was back on the edge of the sidewalk again. This had to be deja vu. He asked for my name once more. I said my name again, but he interrupted me before I could finish.
I love the Easter eggs. That's that freaking nasty Snapchat kid from that one episode.
He told me his grandchildren were down the road and needed gas money. I told him I didn't have any spare change or any change at all for that matter. He continued to ask me again and I gave him the same answer. Eventually I headed towards my school. I turned to see if he was still there, but he was gone. As I was walking, I approached the intersection. There was a truck on its side. It must have tipped over while turning the corner.
It's a ghost. It says llama. What? You stupid llama.
If you want to help support the channel, head on over to the brand new Llama Arts merch store. It has new stuff available like updated t-shirt designs, a mug from the sleepover story episode, an embroidered hoodie, a llama pin, and even a llama plushie. All of these items can be found at crowdmade.com. Links are in the description.
Hey, get your money, llama. Your animations is beast. You deserve it. But I have a question. Wasn't that kid in college? Why do you look 12? Now, this next one is called Abduction Horror Story, and it was uploaded by our good friend Llama Arts. This was sent to us by Victor, who said, "Good to have you back, Corey." Hey Victor, while I have you, did you slice that like button? Victor, I don't want to hear that. Oh snap.
My name is Josh Roberts, and it's been a year since I was abducted.
What?
I remember it like it was yesterday. I was walking home from school. It was about 6 p.m. and there was a full moon and a chill in the air. I stepped off the bus, and for the first time, someone else got off with me. I'd never seen this new kid at school before. I could hear footsteps behind me. I took a quick glance and saw the kid walking at a brisk pace.
Let me help y'all out, all right? Because I done been in this situation before. You're walking somewhere and somebody is a little too close behind you. So here's what you do. I'm giving y'all life tips. This is exactly what you do. Walking, right? You take your phone out. You act like it went off. So you walking. You notice somebody behind you, right? You're like, hey, man, he kind of close. Act like your phone going off. Hey, hello? And then when you pick up, you just... Yeah, hello? Yeah, I got a bad signal. Dude, I'm right at the corner. Oh, I see you. I'm just giving y'all tips. Otherwise, you could just turn around and put your paws up. That's not a bad option either. Turn around. Hey, what you want? Huh? And then if they really didn't want anything, then the worst thing that happened is you just yelled at a stranger. But if they there for something else, you better be stronger than me, boy. And you're not. You ain't about to kidnap me my same height and weight. Man, Shaq couldn't kidnap me. I'm biting your ear.
I thought he was following me, so I took a left, which wasn't my usual route. I looked around again and saw him take the same left.
See?
My heart started pumping and
Turn
my
around
legs
and check
started
'em.
shaking at the sound of the footsteps as they got louder and faster.
For real?
I then panicked and started running.
No, don't
I
run.
remembered a shortcut in the nearby forest to my neighborhood,
Check them.
so I ran as fast as my legs could carry me. Hey kid, wait up!
No!
Heavy voice from behind me. I tried
Leave
my
me
hardest
alone!
not to stumble on the logs and boulders in my path. I could hear the sound of sticks and leaves being broken by some fast, heavy footsteps. My legs started throbbing as the adrenaline wore off, so I took a detour towards a playground. I stopped to catch my breath, looking around for somewhere to hide. Then it went silent. I was doubtful that I lost him. I took my phone out to call the police when I spotted a local news article. Caution, there is a suspicious man on the loose.
Oh
He escaped
my
the local prison
goodness.
and assaulted an officer. Beware, he may look like a teen, but he is in his 20s. If you see him, call 911 immediately and lock your door. My mind started rushing with thoughts, and I started to panic. All of a sudden, someone started choking
Look at
my
this.
arm. I tried to fight back, but they were so strong, I didn't stand a chance. My feelings of hope began to diminish as I slowly blacked out.
Wouldn't have called me like that.
I awoke to find myself in a dark, damp room that looked like a basement. The floor was hard and cold. There were no windows, but there was a staircase and a bathroom. I tried to move, but I was tied up with a thick rope. Yeah, I got him. How much was the deal? 200? Listen, you gotta do a little better than that. Okay, fine. You'd better bring the right amount, or you'll be tied up like that kid. What? Are they selling me?
Oh yeah.
The guy sounded mad and anxious
to bust
with
it wide
whomever he
open
was
for
talking
somebody.
to. Right after he hung up, he opened the door and walked down the stairs with an evil smile. Let go of me! I exclaimed as he taunted me. My arms started to fall asleep due to the tightness of the rope. He came closer to me and I spat in his face. He looked.
Savage mode. One thing I was about to say, if somebody kidnap you and they don't have a mask on, you're probably gonna die. 'Cause they ain't about to let you walk up out of there with their identity. Your best option is some sort of sneak attack.
Looked at me in sheer rage.
Oh!
Then the doorbell rang, followed by pounding on the door. The guy grabbed some tape and shut me up before I could scream for help. He
Lick it.
slowly backed off,
Get that off
signaling me to keep quiet, and ran towards the front door.
Man, I'm licking
I
it.
looked around, trying to see what I could use to untie these ropes. I spotted a rusty, sharp edge sticking out of the wall.
Be careful.
This was my one hope. I successfully got up and tried with all my might to reach it. As I was trying to cut the rope from my hands, I could hear the commotion upstairs getting heated. I managed to free myself from the ropes when I heard the front door slam.
Let's go.
The silence was terrifying.
Get the
I was
roof
frozen in fear. Footsteps started coming towards the door. I choked and shuffled back to my original position, arms behind my back, wrists tightly locked together.
off. Sneak attack.
Now where were we? Said the man. He
Sneak
walked
attack.
towards me, grabbed my ankles, and started dragging me when the phone rang. He dropped me instantly and charged upstairs. I wasn't going to lose this opportunity. I untied my feet, grabbed the closest thing to me, and hid behind some boxes. Now where did you go? He said as he stampeded down the stairs. I heard him getting closer to where I was hiding. I bolted up from behind the boxes and saw him checking the bathroom. As he walked out, I struck him over the head with a pole. He stumbled and fell to the floor.
I'm hitting him again.
Red pooled around his head. I ran upstairs and out the front door. I stumbled my way to the closest house, screaming. A woman thankfully opened the door. She was shocked and fearful when she saw me. The police were called and I was rushed into the hospital. They're still looking for that man, even to this day.
A Nutri-Grain bar. So go ahead. Janisha, take the
Moonlight peered through my window as I jolted awake. My clamorous breaths disturbed the silence of my dark room.
I'm already...
I had just come out of a frightful dream that had me thinking it...
Pause. If you sleep with your door open, I don't trust you. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like demons and other type of monsters walk around my house as I'm sleeping, and my only defense for that is keeping my bedroom door closed.
all too real.
I'm just saying.
With sweat on my brow, I sat up and grabbed my water from the nightstand and took a sip from the now warmed glass.
Okay.
My hands shook as I recounted my nightmare of the horn-headed man.
Oh,
In
it's
my
a
dream,
nightmare.
I was walking through my neighborhood, the street lights flickering as I made my way down the uninhabited sidewalk. Nothing threatening, just a walk through the midnight hours.
Well, nothing threatening yet.
A block down, I could see a figure in the distance, walking slowly towards me. His steps seemed mismatched and labored. He passed a few houses looking straight ahead, neither looking left nor right.
Bro,
His
that's
head
not
was
even
fixed on
scary.
the sidewalk in front of him. As I was getting closer to my home, I could see him slowly starting to embark on my territory. I quickly rushed to my front door and hurried inside.
I hope you step on a rock.
Through my window, I could see him walk past my property. I
Barefoot?
was thinking to myself, oh God, please have him keep going, please. He was just about to walk all the way past my front yard when he stopped.
Of course.
His body almost shifted abnormally as he turned to face my home.
Bro, look how skinny he
Just
is.
stood there,
I'm about to box you.
not moving, just standing there. The man bore the horned head of a skeletal goat. His body was pale and looked fragile.
Exactly.
His fingers were thin and bony.
Fragile, bony.
I thought to myself,
Get a weapon.
what does he want? Slowly, he started lifting a quivering arm and pointed right at me.
Oh, heck no.
I started to backpedal into the darkness of my house when all of a sudden he let out an inhuman screech. That's when I woke up. Too frightened to go back to bed, I turned on the television and saw that the local news for early risers was on.
Okay.
My stomach dropped, and my body suddenly turned cold as I listened to the current news report.
What?
The news anchor on the television said, "Breaking news. A woman who lived on Columbia Avenue has been murdered. Local officials say that they received an anonymous phone call from the victim's home. We arrived at the house at around 12:20. and we saw the victim inside and a card which rested next to her. The sheriff held up the card.
Oh my gosh.
On the back of it, I could see the image of the horn-headed man. The officer started to read. "One down. Slowly I go." He then lifted his head back up. His blood started trickling from his eyes and mouth. I sat there shaking, and I couldn't breathe. Columbia's just 3 blocks away from me. I jumped out of my bed and ran to my window.
Where are your
Something
curtains
within
at?
me made me want to look outside. That's when I saw him.
Oh, shoot.
He just stood there, looking, not moving, just looking. The horn-headed man, his body pale and fragile, and his fingers thin and bony.
You know what I got for them bony fingers and them frail arms? Put your paws up, buddy. Put your paws up. See, when I feel threatened, I just start getting loud. And I told y'all this before. Like, if I hear something in the corner, hey! Hey, who is that? I see some goat freaking head guy walking around barefoot, and then he stops and points at me. Hey, put your hands up! Let's go with this! The 6th one is called The Woman, and it was uploaded by, come on, the tried and true Llama Arts. Now, this was sent to us by Spooky Bear, and they said, never trust your eyes. The Woman. Ooh.
It was a late, moonless, snowy night. I heard the chilling cry of a bobcat as I arrived home from my parents' house, where we had just had Thanksgiving dinner in northern Michigan. Exhausted.
Michigan? I recognize him. That's my boy Dylan.
Exhausted, I had finally made it to my bed when my pregnant girlfriend asked for nacho cheese munchies. Reluctantly, I laced up my boots and went to my car. Due to the cold, it took me a while to start the car, which only made me more irritated. But eventually I got it started, and I arrived at the convenience store to retrieve my girlfriend's mandated snacks. As I left the store, walking back towards my car, I saw a shadow of movement out of the corner of my eye. What looked like a person stood near the dumpster, just out of the light. I stepped towards the figure, and she looked at me with a giant
Let's do a quick little survey. I'm gonna pass it on over to our game show host. Thanks, Corey. So, before we get started... That's not a mic, that's a lint roller. Someone kill that guy. Sir, come over here, please. Wait, no, I was just kidding. Yeah. Stop moving, sir. Wait, sir. Get off me. You learned that one, pal. Hey! Alright, let's continue. Would you A, go investigate the creepy old lady? B, run for your life through the woods? C, get in your car and drive home? Or D, call 911? If you answered anything other than A, good job. You are going to survive. It seems that we got some interference.
like a person stood near the dumpster, just out of the light. I stepped towards the figure, and she looked at me with a giant, sinister smile.
Oh!
Her face was so weathered, it looked like she had cracks all over her face. She was crouched down and appeared to be chewing on something.
Oh!
I looked to see what she was chewing on. To my surprise, it was a severed arm. It looked old, as if it had been rotting for weeks. I saw her glance at something in her pocket. I could see the outline of what looked like a pocket knife. As soon as I looked back up, she quickly charged me. I pushed her away and ran back to the convenience store.
Okay, last time I'm a boss it, bro. You see that freaking poem of justice?
Burst through the door and frantically yelled towards the cashier to call the police as I turned to lock it. He asked me, "What's going on?" I scowled at him.
What's going on with your hair?
Please, just call the cops. I looked back outside and saw the woman had moved across the street and was still scrutinizing me as she maintained her benevolent grin. Look, there's a girl out there who's trying to kill me. Looking over me, he replied, I don't see anyone out there, sir. Those words shook me, even to this day. When the police reached the gas station, they began looking around for the woman while one of the officers asked me what had happened, and I told him the details of the encounter. One of the officers came back and said he couldn't find anything.
Oh, man.
I then took them back to where I first noticed her. We spent a few minutes intently searching, but there was no proof she was ever even there.
No blood on the ground?
The officer cocked his head and looked at me as if I was deranged and asked me in a judgmental tone, Are you feeling okay? I was about to defend myself, and then I started to think. I am tired, and I have had a couple of drinks, so I just told him, Yes, sir. Sorry for bothering you. I hope you have a nice night. And then I drove home. I got home at around 4 o'clock in the morning. My girlfriend greeted me with an angered but concerning tone of voice. She asked me,
Where were you? Are you okay?
So I told her everything that happened. Of course, she didn't believe me. I couldn't get to sleep that night. I sat in my bed questioning my sanity, wondering if it was all even real.
It was real.
Crazy? Maybe I'm just tired.
No.
But no, that can't be it. I saw it.
I palm fisted her.
If I saw it, why was there no proof? Where did the arm go? Where did she go? Before I knew it, it was 7 in the morning, and I had to go to work.
Damn.
I threw on my jacket as I was about to head to the construction site, and I put my hand in my pocket and noticed that there was a hole in it. It wasn't there the other day. I thought, what if she caught my jacket as I ran? Which further proves my suspicion that she was real.
What?
I couldn't believe it. My mind completely went wild until my girlfriend kissed me goodbye. I told my friends at work what had happened, and they didn't believe me either. They made jokes about it the entire day, but I had my bowling tournament that day, so that gave me something to look forward to. I got home and hung my vest and jacket up and rapidly put on my bowling shoes and got my bowling ball. My girlfriend looked at me with a pleasant smile and said,
When will you be back?
Probably around 11.
Don't be long.
What you laughing at?
I won't. Don't worry. At around 10:30, the tournament had finally finished, and we had won. I was so thrilled I had forgotten about the woman. As we were leaving, I noticed something at the other end of the parking lot. It was that psychotic woman. We stared at each other for what felt like an eternity. She slowly started moving towards me while waving her knife in the air and making cuts.
Ask your boys, do y'all see that?
I jumped into my car and turned it on. As I looked up, I saw she was standing in front of me, staring at me. She slowly walked over to my window, and she said in a quiet, deep, and scratchy voice,
Little pig, let me in.
I was frozen in fear, but I snapped back to reality when she banged on the roof of my car, screaming. I quickly slammed my foot on the accelerator and didn't let off it until I couldn't see her anymore. When I arrived home, I told my girlfriend what had happened. Like last time, she didn't believe me. I really thought I was insane, but I tried to forget about it and get some sleep.
Okay, last time. Why didn't he just ask his friends? They were standing right there. Hey guys, I might be on this lean still from last night, so do y'all see that girl at the other end of the parking lot or not? Now, if they bros, they're gonna be like, it's like, are you on that lean again? Or they're gonna be like, yeah, who is that? Do you know her? In which case, you will have proven if you're crazy or not.
Later that night, I woke up and saw her in my room. All she said was, let me in, over and over, as she got closer. She then started shouting,
Let me in, let me in, let me in! Let me in!
Come on, Paul. Stop being difficult.
Whoa!
I was wondering how in the world my girlfriend hadn't heard this going on. The woman was right next to me
Hit
and
her!
held up a knife to me. That's when I fainted. I woke startled in my room, dripping with sweat. Then I remembered I don't have a girlfriend,
Huh?
nor a house, or a family.
Come on, Paul. It's time for your morning meds. Let me in.
New merch designs. Hey, Llama Arts ain't the
Back
only
when I
one.
was in college, me and my best friend Miko heard a rumor that our dormitory was haunted. I didn't encounter anything in the 2 years of staying there, so I was skeptical.
What's he
I
walking
could
like
see
that
why
for?
the rumor started. Our dorm was kind of creepy, and Miko was convinced it was true. One day, I placed a hot
I like how Llama Arts reuses characters, rather. That red hoodie dude, he got a problem with Snapchat. Some of y'all OG Spooky Scary Sunday viewers know what story I'm talking about. Y'all remember when he sent the picture?
cup of coffee in the sink and said, "If this cup magically empties itself by the time we get back from school, I'll believe you. Deal. Want to bet on it?" "Come on, you won't bet on it because you know you'll lose." When I arrived home, I noticed Miko was asleep.
Could
It seemed
evaporate.
quite weird as he would normally be playing games or cooking in the kitchen. I put my bag on the table and noticed the cup in the sink. I knew it, I said to myself. I started to pour the coffee away when my phone vibrated. "Why are you calling me?"
Miko. Oh,
I thought
heck
perhaps he
no.
left his phone at school. I answered. "Hello? Hey, just eat without me tonight if you're hungry. I'm still at the store getting food supplies for next week. I grabbed some coffee. I noticed we're almost out. Oh,
The
and I
freak?
tried looking for that green sauce you put in your homemade burgers. No luck, though. But, wait.
Oh, you
another
tweaking.
checkout just opened. I'll cook tonight. I shouldn't be too long. See ya." I was confused. My eyes darted around the room as I tried to gather my thoughts. That's when I realized something.
What? Oh!
I was too freaked out at this point.
No. Who the frick? It was a freaking ninja on the ceiling.
"Hey, I hope you're hungry." Oh.
Is he dead? Manchester Horror Story, and it was uploaded by Llama Arts, who hasn't been on the channel for a while. How you doing, Llama Arts? Hope you've been well. Now, this was sent to us by Sierra over on Twitter, who said, "Hello from Brunei." Brunei? Yo, we out here? Samurai, freaking stand up. We're in Brunei. I watch your Spooky Scary Sunday every Sunday, and am your biggest fan. Well, Sierra, thank you so much. Samurai, we really out here, ain't we? But at the same time, we still slept on. Ain't that crazy? A Manchester Horror Story. I'm probably not gonna
This
pause.
is a story about
Alright.
how I became a 30-year-old male who is secretly afraid to be outside after dark in cities.
He's agoraphobe?
I live in Manchester, in the UK,
Okay.
and it's widely regarded as a relatively safe and multicultural city. Good transport, friendly locals, and plenty to do.
Okay.
I don't live there anymore, but I'm proud to be from there, and I will always have one hometown. This took place in 2016, and at the time
Good
I was
year.
working for a company that hired me to work
Fine.
on contracts.
You know.
So 4, 6, sometimes even 8 months abroad, and then 2 or 3 months at home.
Oh.
So when I was home, I made sure to see family and friends
Right.
as much as possible. Whether it be
Respect.
meeting and playing video games,
Yeah.
a drink at the bar, playing sports, or traveling together.
Okay.
The incident took place when I was on my way home after a night out drinking,
What the freak?
and I write this 4 years on since it happened. I still have PTSD from the incident, and
What
think
happened?
of this as my way of telling you all to be careful out there,
Okay.
as well as this being an opportunity for me to talk
He
about
had
it.
a gash on his hand.
Those who know Manchester know about its quite frankly amazing tram system. It's affordable and easy to understand.
Right.
There is a tram station right near to my apartment, just outside the city center. I had been back in the country for 7 days and had arranged to meet my friends in the city for a reunion of sorts.
Nice.
Drinking, dancing, and catching up. You know how that goes.
Yeah, I do.
It's important to note at this point that at the time, there was a homeless gentleman that adopted the tram stop near my apartment as his own.
Okay.
He would always sit at the top of the stairs leading down to the platform, and whenever I used the tram, I would always see him without fail. It had even gotten to the point where we exchanged a friendly nod to each other every time.
Cool.
But this time, on the way to the city to meet my friends, everything changed.
What happened?
On any normal occasion, he would be sitting under the shelter at the top of the stairs, either asking passersby for money or just saying hello. But as I approached the top of the stairs, around 20 to 30 meters away, I saw him, and he stood up straight, almost too straight, with his chest out, just glaring right at me
I'm going the other way.
menacing way.
Going the other way.
His brow was furrowed, his jaw was clenched, and he was breathing heavily.
Okay.
I could see his chest rising up and down with speed from now 20 meters away.
Ugh.
Maybe drugs was involved or something had angered him.
Yeah.
Why me? I thought.
Bro.
Now, I'm not the biggest guy in the world. I'm 6 foot and athletic, but I don't believe violence is
6 foot and athletic? Yeah, I'm not the biggest guy in the world. I'm only 6 foot. If you 6 foot getting bullied, try again. You're doing it wrong.
I'm not the biggest guy in the world. I'm 6 foot and athletic, but I don't believe violence is the answer in any case.
Hey, I too, but
I'm not
sometimes you
easily
gotta resort to
intimidated
it.
at all.
Right?
But the way this guy looked at me sent shivers down my spine. I immediately looked down after we made eye contact, and then looked ahead, because I thought maybe
Man,
it
don't
was
look
just
away.
a glance from him.
I'm looking at you dead in your eyes.
Then I looked
What you
back at
looking
him
at?
again. When I was even closer, and his eyes were still on me.
Whoa!
This time they were wide, and he looked unhinged like he was ready to attack. I looked away again.
Y'all know what time it is. When I get into this stance, somebody about to wake up on a drug. What you think, I'm supposed to be scared of you? Huh? Corvette.
Because at this point, I felt I had to ready and prepare myself for a potential confrontation with this guy.
Sir, get ready. Don't
When I
look
was
away,
close
man.
to him, I looked back again, and he took a step forward, watching my every move, looking me up and down
He
as
really
if he was
feeling
assessing
froggy.
my weaknesses. As I approached the top of the staircase, he was turning his head as I moved. I knew that this was not normal behavior from
snap.
him, or anyone for that matter. I thought I have to address this, because he's freaking me out.
You already passed
So I
him.
stopped, met his gaze, and pointed my body towards him just before I went down the stairs.
Okay.
And I calmly asked him, "Is everything okay, mate? Can I help you with something?" Nothing. I got absolutely nothing as he looked into my eyes. I could hear his fast breathing at this point through his nose, and he looked like he was having some sort of episode. So I moved on and quickly went down the stairs.
Get out of there, man.
What the f has gotten into this guy? I thought. I almost felt bad for him. At the halfway point of the stairs, I looked behind me to see him standing at the top,
Bro,
looking down.
you feeling
directly
froggy?
at
Then
me
leave.
again. I could only describe the look he gave me as bone-chilling. He looked like a predator that had found his prey. I kept moving as I didn't know if this guy had a weapon or what his intentions were at this point. When I got to the bottom of the stairs, I turned around again.
Bro.
And to my shock, he had walked 4 to 5 steps down,
Whoa.
still standing and glaring at me with the same
Whoa.
disturbed and angered look. He was clearly stalking me now.
Yeah.
I could feel my heartbeat in my ears, and sweat was forming on my forehead and palms. Luckily for me, the
that?
platform was very busy, and the tram I needed to catch was approaching. So I quickly immersed myself amongst the crowd of people getting onto the tram and found a seat.
Bet.
Wouldn't you know it?
Simpsons.
When I sat down and the tram started moving, I looked back towards the bottom of the staircase, and there he was, just glaring at me with this horrific,
Bro,
sinister
what?
grin on his face.
Who wronged you?
I did not feel safe. The entire journey to the city I felt on edge. anxious, and all I could do was think about that guy. When I eventually got there, my friends automatically picked up on the fact that I seemed a little off.
Yeah.
So I told them about the situation I was just in, which they just dismissed, saying that I was probably just being paranoid and that he'll be gone by the time I get back home.
Well, why don't you come with me
I
then?
agreed with them because I realized that he is usually only there during the daytime, so I enjoyed the night. We all drank, laughed, and even met some cute girls. Before I knew it, I was hammered, to the point where I had to look at my phone with one eye closed. My balance was off and I felt like I could throw up at any second. It was around midnight and time to go home. So I said goodbye to my friends and arranged to meet the next weekend due to the success of this one. The last tram was approaching and I had to run drunk as a skunk to make it in time. I got onto the tram, and when I got a seat and caught my breath, I remembered what happened at the tram station on the way back to the city. I felt sober suddenly, and I was honestly on the verge of an anxiety attack until I remembered that I never usually see the guy late at night, which was comforting for the remainder of my journey. The tram arrived at my stop and I got off. I just stood there for a second, surveying my surroundings. The platform was empty. The skies were clear, although dark. The air was warm, and the only sounds were the nearby traffic and the tram leaving the platform. I remember it like it was yesterday. I looked towards the bottom of the staircase on the platform leading to the street, and I took a deep breath. I approached the stairs and looked towards the top. Much to my relief, he wasn't there.
He laying
Stage
down
one
up
over.
there, so you can't see
Stage
him.
2 was easy. Get to my building, which was about 150 meters away from the stairs.
Okay.
As I slowly walked up the stairs, trying to make as little noise as possible, my heart was in my throat. All I could think about was what I would do if he was there.
Bro,
But I was
there,
drunk
right?
and I didn't think fast enough. I arrived at the top and looked to my left, and what do you know? He's there. And as soon as I look at him, his head snaps, and he's looking me in the eyes with the same terrifying look,
He's
almost foaming at the mouth
to
like he's won a
go
prize.
down.
He stands up slowly and turns to face his body towards me. At this point, I realized how tall he was. About 6'2", huge gray
2
and
inches
dirty
on you,
beard,
nothing.
almost skinny with a lean body type. I was almost pissing myself. So to break the tension, I just nodded at him and told him, "Good night, mate." And I walked on quickly towards my apartment. I suddenly heard a deep, hoarse voice say, "You got any spare change?" Loud and obnoxious. Which I turned and replied quickly whilst I was walking backwards. "No, mate. Sorry.
Sorry.
Have a good night, though." And walked on again. I was free, and my anxiety was disappearing. All I was thinking about was getting to my building as fast as possible. Then, I heard what felt like the loudest, most aggressive voice ever. "Hey!" I stopped, and I turned around
Freak you
so
on.
fast because he made me jump and scared me. He was holding a knife, and it was pointed directly towards me.
Run.
The nightmare scenario was playing out now, and I held my breath as he walked slowly towards me.
Run!
I was definitely sober now, and
no,
I
he's
weighed
not.
up the options.
Run.
I run and take a risk,
Yeah.
or I start to negotiate with him. I thought, there is an
Negotiate?
ATM nearby, I can get some money and just go home. He was around 5 meters away, with the knife pointing towards
Yeah,
me.
because you're letting him
I
walk
wasn't
towards
going
you.
to let myself die like this. He then said, "I'm going to ask you again. Do you have any spare change?"
No, I don't.
I couldn't tell whether I wanted to throw up or cry, but I had to get out of this situation. No one else was around that I could see or hear, and it was on me to get out of this. I said to him, "Look, there is an ATM." I couldn't even finish my sentence, because he had thrown the knife at my face. It hit me just above my eye, cutting me in my eyebrow, taking a chunk of skin clean off, and there was blood in my eye, partially blinding me, and there was blood all over my face almost immediately. I was blinded and breathless. I fell to one knee in shock, and I barely saw the knife in front of me on the ground through my drunken, shocked, and partially blinded state. So I reached for it as fast as I could. But it was too late. He had already picked it up and tackled me to the ground. I yelled a guttural and deep shout for help down the street as he tackled me, holding the knife. A sound I didn't know I was capable of making. But this
dude says some. That's the only sound that will probably just come out of you in an emergency situation. You never knew you could make that sound. Did you hear what I just produced? Never in my life have I made that sound.
Adrenaline was coursing through my veins now. He had the knife in his right hand and plunged it down towards my face. And the only thing I could do was put my hand away. I screamed in pain as the guy was on top of me. He had put the knife clean through my hand, in between the knuckles of my middle and index fingers to be specific. I started to push back, realizing how much stronger I was than him. The tip of the blade was about 5 inches from my face, and then a miracle happened. I heard the voices of a group of people yelling, "Hey, stop!" accompanied with their fast-running feet towards me on the tarmac. The guy's grip on the knife was weak suddenly, and he looked behind himself, clearly seeing the group approaching. They shouted again, yelling, "Get off him!" And he jumped off of me. Unfortunately for me, he took the knife with him and ripped it out of my hands as he jumped to his feet and swiftly ran into the nearby woods. There were 5 people in total who came to my rescue. 2 of them initially chased the guy into the woods before I shouted, "No, he has a knife!" And hearing me say this, they let him go and started to call the police.
That dude look like Naruto.
This incident changed me for the better, and I wake up every day appreciating everything in my life. After the incident, I was rushed to the hospital and I had surgery to reattach the nerves in my hand 2 days later. The guy who attacked me is in prison now for attempted murder.
Good.
The police showed after the incident within 5 minutes, and full credit to them. They found the guy hiding in the woods, still holding the knife behind a tree, and they managed to subdue and arrest him on the spot. He was on a cocktail of drugs, and he openly admitted to the police that he fully intended to kill me if he had the opportunity. But this incident was simultaneously the best and worst thing that ever happened to me.
How?
The best, because I appreciate life so much more now. I talk to those I love every single day. All life is precious. Tomorrow is not guaranteed, and we are all mortal. Stay safe and alert, and do not waste a moment, as you don't know who's going to be waiting around the corner.
Yo, he was speaking facts at the end, though. That was amazing. Well, guys, this is a 10-week. I really liked every single video. We had some weird, we had some scary, we had some CoryxKenshin merch wearing. I need y'all to show love to everybody here. With that being said, y'all set the bar high. So next week, y'all gonna have to come even harder. I don't even know how you gonna pull that off, but I need another 10 week from you. All right? Until then, I'll see you next week. Spooky Scary Sunday. Next one is called Pizza Delivery Story 3, and it was uploaded by one of the most goated animators, Llama Arts. How you been? Now this was sent to us by Kristen Mells, who said nothing. Wow. You didn't want to talk to me, Kristen? I could have had like a little personal moment. Actually, you know what, Kristen? I'ma create our moment. Okay, you didn't have to say nothing. I get it. You're shy, right? You probably didn't know what to type after that. Well, this song is dedicated to you, Kristen Mells. Kristen Mills. Thank you. Yo, we haven't watched the Llama Arts in a minute.
This happened in April of 2021.
Okay.
My region hadn't been hit so hard by COVID, so most aspects of our lives were normal. I had graduated in 2020 and I needed a job. I was 18 at the time, almost 19. I wasn't studying and I didn't know what the hell to do with my life. So in March, I got a job at Pizza Hut as a delivery driver and kitchen hand.
Respect.
The night
I know some of y'all 18, 19, 20, young 20s. Y'all in that stage where it's like you graduated high school, maybe you want to go to college, maybe not. You just don't really know what you want to do. But respect to this guy and anybody who at least is working, at least is putting together a plan. It's okay to not know what you want to do, but as long as you're making moves, all right, go out here at least trying to grind something to get closer to where you want to be, much respect. You think this dude want to work at Pizza Hut sweeping the freaking dirty floors after people? But that's just a temporary situation. Let's see what happens with this guy.
It seemed normal. It was one of those days that didn't seem like anything interesting would happen, but those are always the days when the unexpected happens, you know?
Yeah.
It was around 10:30 on a Saturday night. We closed at 11, so it was just me and my boss during the last hour.
Okay.
As usual, we got a late order. It was close, and I had finished mopping and sweeping the floor, so it was no hassle. My boss was always prepared for a million orders to come at the last minute, so he asked me to do it as fast as possible.
Right.
The restaurant was located in a plaza on the main road. The traffic was consistently heavy on a Saturday, so I avoided the main road and took the side exit. Even though the plaza was in one of the busiest parts of town, this street, however, was always so dark and empty. This street was also really long, so all you could see were the traffic lights about 500 meters ahead.
Hey.
Something was confusing me though, like my eyes were playing tricks on me. There was this black shadow blocking part of the lights, and there was this metallic object shining in the light above, bobbing up and down like it was floating. As I got closer, I could see the bottom of this dark silhouette. It looked like it was walking. So I approached with caution, preparing to brake or swerve. I got close enough to see this person was dressed in a long coat with a hood similar to a cowl,
I can see.
which is unusual where I live.
Is that death?
I turned my car lights on bright and honked my horn, hoping that they'd move to the side or something. But they didn't even flinch.
Bro.
Finally, I got close enough to see that it was some asshole dressed as death.
What is my dude honking at him for? He's on the sidewalk. He's not even in the street. Like, we got Grim from Billy and Mandy over here. He just minding his business. You're just a non-driver, that's all.
Carrying a scythe. Something was odd, though. People, even if they are on the sidewalk, usually look over their shoulder at an approaching car.
I mean, they don't have to.
They didn't. As I drove past, however, this person ever so smoothly looked right into the window of my car on the driver's side. It gave me such a fright, like when people clap in your face. I passed them too quickly to see their face, let alone see what gender they were. After I passed them, I looked into my rearview mirror trying to see them, but it was so dark. I stopped at the traffic lights, and that's when I started to panic. I remember those scary clown guys who used to block people's path and tap on car windows.
They could get ran
so
over.
I went through the red. No one was on this road anyway. I pulled over to the side and tried calling the cops at the station, just in case some...
What? Bro, you mean to tell me this is a male Karen? At the very least, we got somebody dressed as the Grim Reaper, standing on the sidewalk, minding their business, not doing nothing, and then they just give you a quick little glance. You got a little scared because you all... If you would have just kept your eyes on the road to begin with, you probably wouldn't even seen them, much less paying like 99% of your attention to them. Now you're gonna call the cops? This is crazy so far.
Somebody hits them, but no one answered. I remembered my boss told me to hurry, so I just went on with the delivery.
Deliver your pizza, bro.
I got to the house and parked
we
on
got
the
the
side
Llama
of the
Arts.
road, and I gave the people their pizza. It's always awkward handing over the pizza in silence, so to make conversation, I told them what I saw.
Bro, this protagonist delivering a pizza? What do you mean it's awkward? Bro, take your freaking pizza. Yeah, that'll be $17.84. Take the money, go. This dude was like... There was a guy over.
They laughed and said that it was probably someone making a TikTok. I laughed as well. I guess it was a pretty good prank.
Bro,
I got in my car
take
and
your
went to start it,
behind home.
but I couldn't find the keys. I checked outside my car as well, but I couldn't find them. I searched for ages, but no luck. I started to panic and kept thinking about that person I saw on the street. I jumped into my car and locked it from the inside. I almost started crying when I heard jingling. I looked to my right to see that person dressed as Death, holding my keys, staring into my window. I felt everything in my body pulsating.
Now
but I couldn't move.
we can be scared.
It was like they were staring into my soul. Eventually, I started acting on instinct. I don't remember thinking or doing it, but all of a sudden I was holding down the locks inside my car. My car is small and only has 2 doors, so I could easily reach across and hold both the locks down. They started spamming the car remote and trying to open the door. I was using all my energy to hold down those locks. I don't think I'd ever used so much effort and strength before in my life. All this time, I couldn't take my eyes off them. This person, this thing, standing over my car with a scythe. I knew that if they got in, I wouldn't stand a chance. The shadow from the hood hid their face. Was this even real? They stopped trying to get in and just looked at me. I started screaming out of exhaustion, and I became dizzy. My vision was blurred.
Bro.
There was a silence, and then about 10 dogs started barking close by. This gave me hope. While leaning on the scythe, they lowered their body and put their face only a few centimeters from the window. Finally, I could see this person had covered themselves with a skull mask. We both froze and just stared at each other. I couldn't help but look into their eyes. The eyes. There was something unnerving about them. They didn't look like they were holding in laughter, like it was a prank. Through this creepy skull mask,
No, that's creepy.
I saw that they just looked curious, like how a little kid looks at an animal in the zoo. I shut my eyes and started calling for help. I had been screaming for so long, why couldn't anyone hear me?
Bro.
I feared.
He's still in a driveway of the house he just delivered the pizza to, right? Here's what I'm about to do. Now, I got like the reflexes of a cornered cheetah, okay? He's like stretched out, got his foot on the passenger door. I'm turning, opening the door, doing a quick spin out of the freaking car while I'm airborne, hitting a quick tatsu to close the door, running to the freaking front door of the house that I'm at, lowering my shoulder, crashing through, running up the stairs, doing a front flip into the bedroom of the family of the pizza I just delivered, landing in the center of the 2 people that are in the bed, and I'm gonna be like, the door.
What?
I'm telling you.
I remembered my phone had Google Assist. With my hands still on the locks, I tried my luck and said, "Hey, call 000." It worked.
What's
and
that?
my phone contacted emergency services. I could not describe
real?
the feeling I got hearing the voice of the operator on the other line. I heard the blunt jingle of keys dropping. I opened my eyes, and the person dressed as Death had disappeared. I tried looking around, but I didn't want to move. I just spoke to the lady on the line while holding the locks. She told me to keep doing what I was doing, and that she was sending the police. I waited on the line with her until the police arrived. It felt like hours, but it was only around 10 minutes. I told them what had happened. Because the person was threatening and I feared for my safety, I was required to make a formal statement to the station. They told me they'd keep it on file. The officers spoke to the people in the neighborhood, and none of them heard me scream or saw anything, and they were used to the dogs going off at night. I found my keys around 2 meters from my car. I called my boss, and the officers followed me back to my work, where I signed out. I then followed them to the police station. I called my parents, and they took my statement. It was almost 1 a.m. when it was finally finished.
Dang.
This was a couple of months ago, but sometimes it feels like I'm going crazy. It was probably some asshole messing with me, but they just looked so curious, like they were studying me. Or they enjoyed watching me feel helpless and terrified. I still do deliveries, but I never leave my keys in the car.
Should never do that to begin with. Wow, that was kind of crazy. You know, the whole time I was thinking it was like a supernatural thing. I don't know why the cloak, and when he was first driving up on it, I thought it was like death. But it was a guy in a mask. If he wanted to like kill this guy so bad, why didn't he just break the window of the car? And why did he want to kill him so bad to begin with? Probably because he wasn't minding his own business.
On my first day back home, I went straight to my bedroom and passed out before doing anything else. Rather, I didn't have the energy to do anything else. It was probably for that reason that I failed to notice subtle hints that my home was not as lonely without me as I believed. Hours later, I awoke in the middle of the night to the sound of scuttling noises and the floorboards creaking. Understandably confused, I got out of bed and made my way into the hallway that was connected to both the living room and kitchen. Cautiously, I crept my way through the darkness, groping the wall next to me for balance in my tired state as I trudged forward. However...
Let me give y'all a pro tip, all right? You hear something in your house, and you go to investigate. I'm not mad at you, okay? Here's where I'm getting mad at you. What if you find something or somebody? Y'all want to rewatch that? What weapon does my guy have? All right, you sloppily going down the hallway all groggy. Then what you gonna do when you see somebody in a freaking black ski mask just standing there, and now you got to do something about it? Let me tell you how I'm walking through my house if I think somebody's in it. And I can guarantee you these buckshots don't discriminate. So you could get it, she could get it, he could get it, they all can get it. It speaks one universal language and everybody understands.
Cautiously, I crept my way through the darkness, groping the wall next to me for balance in my tired state as I trudged forward. I, however, made the fatal mistake of stepping onto one of the loudest boards in the hallway, alerting whoever or whatever was lurking in the shadows of the next room. I paused, as did the entity in the next...
Is that the Grim Reaper?
Shout out my guy Berlizzi.
...room, before a whoosh of air was heard as they retreated into whatever crevice they had come out of. Taking a nervous gulp of air, I walked into the living room and turned on the nearby lamp that dimly lit up the room. Looking around, I spotted not a soul, but rather some of my furniture was disturbed. What's more, a couple of my kitchen cabinets were slightly ajar. Bewildered, but with my guard up, I went over and closed them all before readjusting my furniture, by which point I had relaxed. I chalked up the odd noises and movements to my jet-lagged brain and shrugged, deciding to just head back to bed.
Okay.
I wish the story ended there, but I was not so lucky. Before entering the hallway to my room, I saw that the large metal covering to the air vent above the couch was missing. Peering up at it, I mumbled, "What the?" before a crooked face filled with abject disdain for my existence popped into view. Startled, I fell to the ground and began crawling away, as I heard the man begin screeching incoherently as he dropped down onto the couch. I watched in horror as his joints cracked beneath his raggedy hoodie and heavily stained jeans. He stared at me, silent now, before brandishing a knife out of his back pocket and pointed it towards me.
You're done, no?
My house now! Mine! Mine!
You got it!
You left it! It's mine!
You got it!
He shouted with a slurred voice as he charged towards me. I hurriedly crawled towards my room and slammed the door behind me and locked it, as he started jabbing his blade into the door, yelling at me to die. Shakily, I called the police and sobbed as I told them what was happening. Thankfully, I was told a patrol car was nearby my neighborhood, and they would be at my house in minutes. I stayed on the phone and picked up a baseball bat just in case that deranged cretin broke down my door. A few horrendous minutes later, the police arrived, and after a quick but violent struggle, they managed to subdue the intruder. After locking him in the back seat of the patrol car, the cops investigated my house and found that the man apparently had been living there while I was gone. But not just that. Apparently, he'd been staying at my house without me noticing for a few months.
Wow.
According to the police, they found paper stuffed under the couch that was filled with nothing but incoherent ramblings about how he planned to kill me one day when the time was right. With the dates next to each entry predating my trip to Japan by an uncomfortable amount of time. Frankly, I'm happy to be alive and relieved that the situation was resolved so quickly. But still, I make sure to triple check the locks in my home after that little incident.
Bro, these are kind of stories that literally make me want to check my attic. This next one is called True Gas Station Horror Stories, and it was uploaded by Llama Arts. What's good? Now, this was sent to us by Kirk, who said, "Hey, this gave me shivers down my spine. How reality works, hope you see this. Corey, I'm a really big fan, and welcome back to YouTube. I hope to see you post more. I'll always support." Everybody clap that up. New Llama Arts design. Dude, I need a shirt.
One night last summer, two of my friends, Sam and Jake, convinced me to sneak out with them and drink. We were all bored, just looking for something to do. We decided to go for a walk to a local gas station that was open 24 hours a day. The walk there was pretty uneventful. We talked about random topics and drank a couple of beers. Once we got to the gas station, Jake had to use the bathroom. When he was in the bathroom, there was a dirty, sketchy guy in there. Jake struck up a conversation with this guy. It was pretty normal, except...
How many of y'all go into a bathroom, see a dirty, sketchy guy in a corner, and then try and start a conversation with him? Why you got your Johnson out? Yo, if he run up on you like you only got one weapon, go into the bathroom.
Roaches! Roaches!
And the guy asked why he was out so late, and if he was by himself. Jake brushed it off as the guy was just trying to tell him to stay safe. We bought some snacks and we noticed the guy following us around while he was talking to someone on his phone. We left soon after, and on the way back, we sat on the side of the road and talked for a while as we drank some more.
Bro.
It was pitch black by now because there are no street lights in the area. We saw a car coming down the road, which was no big deal. We sneak out pretty often and we've never had any real problems. Cars usually just drive by. This time was different. The car spun around in the road and pulled up right next to us on the street, and two guys got...
It's time to stand up. You sitting outside, a car pulls up in front of you and stop. You're still sitting? Car stops in front of me immediately. I'm hitting my Sagat pose. Tiger! 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 Bro, you're defenseless.
This time was different. The car spun around in the road and pulled up right next to us on the street, and two guys got out. We ditched the beers, got up, and sprinted down the street. Jake and I hid behind an RV, while Sam hopped a fence. The two men looked dirty, like they hadn't showered in days. We watched the two guys for a little while, which is when we noticed that one of them had a gun in his hand.
Oh!
They looked in our direction for a few minutes before they got back into their car and drove off. Jake and I looked for Sam, but we couldn't find him. So we decided to head back home. We thought we had lost them, but on the way back we turned a corner and those same guys were sitting in the car, waiting there. We ran through the alleyways and backyards until we lost them. Every few minutes we saw the car driving slowly down a street or alleyway in the distance, and we would hide. Eventually we made it back, and Sam messaged to tell us that he got followed by a different car, but he made it home safe. It's been almost a year since that night. We're always more cautious when we go out, and Sam still has nightmares about being abducted. I don't know for sure if the guy from the bathroom had anything to do with it, but we believe that he's somehow connected to it.
Bruh, you're sneaking out. What the freak is wrong with you? You're drinking beer? freak is wrong with you? Get the Casamigos next time. With that said, guys, we're going to get out of here. All right. Happy New Year, everyone. I know I wasn't a big part of your 2024, but I just want to say thank you for being here at the tail end of it. And hopefully we can make a lot of memories in 2025. Let's see if we can hit 100 uploads 2025, as well as do some other things, which you'll see when you see. And I love you all. So happy New Year. How do I end Spooky Scary Sundays? Do I just get up? Oh, this week you get 8 out of 10. Everybody send better submissions for next week. I need 10s.